So just finished season 2 of Invincible, and I want to talk to you guys about the fact that we just spent this entire season waiting for Amber and Mark to break up. Not only that, but the fact that the Bible actually predicted that this was going to happen. But before we get to all of that, did you know that the Amber in the comic was white versus what we got in the TV show where she was black? Now I know it's of the rage these days to be inclusive, right, and include more races in the storytellings that we tell, which is fine. However, the way that they did this in this anime series actually turned out to be more racist. A perfect example of this is the difference between how Amber reacts when she actually finds out that Mark is invincible. So what did we see in the anime or animated show? We see an Amber that gets mad at Mark when he reveals that he is invincible, because get this, she had known that he was invincible for a few weeks, and somehow she's mad because he didn't trust her. Like, really? I mean, you guys have only been going out for like 6 months, and somehow he's supposed to trust you. Not only that, but him telling you could potentially also put your life in danger. Right, so this is what we get in the anime. Now, what do we get in the comic? When Mark tells Amber that he is invincible, she is actually surprised because she didn't know. And she's also kind of proud of the fact that, Mark is invincible. Now, the reason why I think that this move was actually a little bit racist instead of adding complexity to the story in a way is that, it kind of plays into the stereotype that, black women are, very combative, right? And then they're not easy to get along with. So it was a weird decision by the creators, and it really doesn't make much sense. It doesn't even add anything to the story, because later on in season 2 she's actually a lot more understanding. I don't know, just a weird take. Actually, just a weird take altogether. I feel like if they really wanted to make a point, they should have replaced someone like Adam Eve, right? Somebody that's going to stick around a little bit longer in the show and be a lot more relevant. But, maybe that was too much of a risk. So back to the whole relationship with Mark here and Amber. Now, we spend the entire season pretty much wondering when it is that they're going to break up, because it seems like they're fighting to really, stay together, but it's really not working. Anytime that Amber is with Mark, he's called off somewhere and he has to go. And at first you're like, okay, she's super understanding, but like, we're all putting ourselves in her place, and we're like, yeah, this is gonna get tiring pretty quick, because obviously she kind of understands it, but she doesn't really have that perspective, because at the end of the day, she herself is not a hero. And then ultimately, based on what we saw in the last few episodes, I think that Mark is going to end up in a relationship with Adam Eve, which makes a lot more sense for who he is. And the reason why I say that the Bible predicted this is because the Bible talks about not being unequally yoked, not being joined to somebody that is not of the faith, because it can become a problem. Now, what this is making a reference to, and what Jesus was talking about here, is that oxen, right, they're joined by this wooden thing that keeps them together so that they can work on the land, right? But if you have an oxen that is stronger than the other one, right, unequally yoked, then what you end up doing is that instead of going straight, you're kind of going in a circle, right? Because one is pulling a lot more than the other, right? So showing us that it's truly a bad idea for you to get into a relationship with someone that is a non-believer, because it is going to cause a lot more conflict than good. Now, the Bible does offer a caveat, which is if you've already made this decision before you found out about this, or if you were rebellious altogether and did it anyways, it does say that if you have married somebody that is an unbeliever, don't divorce them, because ultimately they may come to know Jesus through you. But the warning is already there. Don't be unequally yoked. And I think that from the beginning, as we saw here, we knew that Mark and Amber were not going to work out, because they themselves are unequally yoked. There's no way that Amber is ever going to be able to fully relate to what Mark has to go through as a superhero, somebody that is saving lives every single day and putting his life on the line in order to save others. This is why I think that a lot of the times this whole Superman versus Lois, or Superman and Lois, never really made sense to me, because at the end of the day, it's it just doesn't seem like it's really going to work. I mean, I'm a fan more of Superman and Wonder Woman. That just makes a lot more sense. I guess maybe it doesn't leave a lot when it comes to storytelling because it just kind of makes sense where you have a superhero and a non-superhero person, a human, then you can have a lot more conflict, a lot more story to develop. Maybe. All right, guys. Well, this is what I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, just want to remind you that we must persevere. Peace.